Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to unpack exactly how a single, striking piece of visual media can just completely captivate our attention. We're deconstructing an image that, well, at first glance, it might just look like a dramatic thumbnail, but it actually crafts this remarkably complete narrative of survival, extreme isolation, and deep mystery. We're going to break down the specific visual choices and the psychological triggers built into this single frame to see exactly why it works so incredibly well.
Imagine seeing only this text before absolutely anything else. Trapped 2 years in ice. Right off the bat, it's this visceral establishment of extreme stakes. It hooks our curiosity before we even see a picture. 2 years is an agonizingly long time for any survival situation, let alone in an environment completely defined by freezing temperatures. By leading with this bold statement, the creator immediately sets a ticking, or actually scratch that, a frozen clock in our minds.
And then, when the full image hits us, the sheer scale of the isolation and harshness is just instantaneous. We aren't just reading about being trapped anymore, we're plunged right into the freezing cold. We've got this massive, distressed ship over on the left, an unforgiving frozen wasteland completely dominating the background, and then this highly detailed weathered figure looming large right in the foreground. It's honestly a masterclass in composing a scene that feels both expansive and completely claustrophobic at the exact same time.
Let's dive right into Section 1, looking at the textual hook, specifically the colors and the claims being made here.
Notice how the typography actually demands our attention and dictates our emotional response. The creator uses some seriously aggressive typography here. That bright, urgent yellow text for trapped 2 years, well, it acts like a giant hazard sign. It immediately draws the eye and establishes that grueling timeline. Then they pair it with that bloody, aggressive red text right at the bottom. We all know red universally signals danger, right? This high-contrast, bold block lettering makes absolutely sure that these messages just scream danger directly at you, cutting right through all those murky, stormy blues and grays in the background.
And this brilliantly illustrates a very specific psychological trick. Look at how they pair this absolute fatal statement right next to punctuation that completely undermines the whole thing. No one survived is definitive, right? It's the end of the story. But then, right at the end, ... It completely pulls the rug right out from under the statement. It transforms what feels like a historical fact into this compelling mystery. Is it a rumor? Is it a total lie? That tiny little punctuation mark forces your brain to immediately start searching for an answer.
Moving on to Section 2, let's explore the setting itself, which is essentially a frozen trap. Now look at how the background builds the visual conflict. That massive wooden ship is fundamentally a vehicle of escape, but here, it's just helplessly tilted, entirely encased in the ice. The masts are completely bare, the rigging looks frozen solid, and it's sitting beneath this remarkably dark, snowy sky. It really represents a total loss of control. It's humanity's greatest technology of the era, just completely defeated by nature.
And, these environmental details are highly deliberate. We've got these jagged, aggressive ice formations jutting out, physically blocking any imagined paths of movement. There are dark, ominous storm clouds gathering overhead, kind of suggesting the worst is yet to come. The falling snow is actively obscuring a horizon, making the world feel incredibly small and isolated. And of course, there's that completely immobilized vessel. These visual cues perfectly reinforce that striking yellow text we looked at earlier, visually proving to us the inescapable nature of this frozen wasteland.
All right, Section 3. Let's look at the protagonist, the real human elements in all of this.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how this hostile, massive setting contrasts with the deeply personal human element placed firmly right in the foreground. To truly get our protagonist, we need to talk about the concept of stoicism. It's basically the endurance of pain or hardship without displaying feelings and without complaint. Keep that definition in mind because it perfectly captures the hardened, weathered expression of the man staring out from the ice. He isn't screaming, he isn't panicking, he's not exactly pulling out his phone to call for a rescue, right? He is simply enduring.
But wait a second. If we think back to that bold red text we saw earlier, we're immediately forced to look at this guy and ask a pretty unsettling question about his reality. No one survived. If that statement is actually true, then who or what are we even looking at? Is he some kind of ghost of the ice? Or are we witnessing a doomed man in his final, inevitable days?
Seriously, pay attention to the meticulous details of his survival here. Look at the thick frost clinging to his beard. It's a real testament to the biting cold he's breathing in right now. Look at the heavy, fur-lined parka shielding him from the relentless wind.
And check out the worn leather satchel he's clutching so close to his chest. These aren't just random costume choices. They are visual evidence of active, ongoing survival. The guy is geared up, he is enduring, he is decidedly visibly alive.
Which brings us to Section 4, the power of doubt. We're looking at visual evidence versus textual claims.
The absolute genius of this composition is the direct narrative paradox it sets up. The bottom text explicitly claims a total loss of life, yet the visual prominently features a breathing, heavily geared man standing right in front of us. And furthermore, notice his gaze. He isn't looking at us. He's looking off camera, which suggests he's actively observing something or maybe someone else out there in this desolate landscape. This massive tension forces us to hit pause. Our brains just naturally want to resolve this contradiction.
Which leaves us with the ultimate hook. At the end of the day, this brilliant single image leaves us with a lingering paradox that essentially forces us to question the evidence of our very own eyes. It leaves you with one simple, chilling question that makes the whole thing impossible to look away from. If no one survived, then who exactly is telling this story?